Welcome to Tuesday Night Live with Mechanic Alliance. That's about all the energy you're going to get out of me for the rest of the night. So congratulations. I'm going to go take a nap.
Oh, man. I'm sorry your family's been down in the gutter with this crap. It's just...
That's okay. We will persevere anyways. So as you can see, we got Aaron Marion right below me. I can get that one right. And I got Marv right. And down in that corner, we've got Michael Ramirez. See, I told you your name had the right number of syllables.
It works. I like it.
You got to watch him. He's always thinking ahead, Michael.
Nailed it, Eric.
I tried. Anyways, Marv, tell us what we got coming up. I know we got some fun stuff coming with the lab scope class
guys,
and some other things.
Yeah, we got a lot of things coming up. Really appreciating that we've got Aaron in his position now and things happening and growing and just the movement that is taking place. I still want to thank Zach for that word that day, because it's just like when we started doing that, it's like it really started happening. But we still have this class. We still have a couple seats left. I haven't been pushing it so much lately. It does start on the 26th, so we have a little bit of time yet. But that lab scope class, guys, this is a great 2-hour class. It's, there was Micah, if you're watching this, Aaron's going to be talking to you about that starter checkout or that battery checkout today, because the process you took, I don't know, that's for wimps. You got to learn the real way to do it, know exactly what's going on. That's what Aaron teaches. And so we're excited about that. And we have other stuff that's coming. I mean, we just don't stop. It's like with the team we've got, there's always something new brewing and all of that. And we have some other things that we'll be talking about shortly too. But one last thing too, we're getting a lot of guys chiming in to get the resumes written. It's been fun. It's been great to meet you guys individually. And by doing that, that helps us when we find owners that are looking for people that we know the match, we know the feeling of both of you, and how
we've got owners. We've got owners.
And we got owners, and they're looking, and we've got things going. One little favor I would ask is I want to try to get into lube techs. If anybody knows of some Facebook groups or whatever, we lose a lot of lube techs because, and I've been in that. I worked with Grease Monkey International Training for 3.5 years. That they just don't all get treated right and they leave. And I think we have a group of people we could help nurture there. I'm going to offer some free training for that to mentor them, to get them to where we need to be. So that's all you're going to hear from me, Eric.
Yeah, so there's already a storm brewing over in the comments. We got a 2-way tie between Kane and Bobby as the top comment.
Oh,
I see Kane on top, but Kevin Myers on watching on one of our alternative Facebook streams, not in the group. I see him over here on StreamYard. And Matt King's with us. So, other interesting things for you diesel guys out there. We got some stuff coming, and I talked about it a little while ago. This is one of my minute-long micro contents, but we got some diesel stuff that is going to take some effort to sift through. But holy cow, you will! I don't think it's
fair to say we have some stuff. I think we've got it all.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
We got
Tim from Southern Illinois University. Love the guy.
Incredibly sharp guy. Just knows.
Oh my gosh.
He's probably forgot more than I'll ever know.
Yeah. And I if you need to know something that's diesel that isn't in the gigs plus that we have,
terabytes,
you probably don't need to know it. I'm just going to throw it out there. Is if it's
he
not here,
he knows more about after treatment than I know about diesels total.
Yeah.
So I've worked on a bunch of diesels.
Yeah. I've got a Duramax, and I've got an unholy alliance with that thing. Same with the Cat 3126 in my motorhome. I know enough to be dangerous, but not comfy with those beasts.
But we want to bring you everything, right, Aaron?
We're going through it, and it's a bachelor's degree worth of material, honestly.
It is. Yeah, because
it is.
Tim taught a bachelor's degree program for years and years, and really built it from the ground up. Just did an incredible work. And we're just trying to not make sense of it all, but make it a format that's a little more digestible without committing to 4 years of study.
This is true. And without all the tests and grades.
Yeah, I'm not good at
We want you to be able to refer back to this at your own leisure and, be able to digest this and get through it at a rate that you're comfortable with. Because I'm looking at it going, this is unbelievable. I mean, in like 5 minutes, it's like, well, I just quadrupled my knowledge of diesels.
Yeah.
So, we got Justin Evans over on the Facebook side. Kevin, you can watch it wherever we're live. We're not going to limit you to where you can watch this. It's fun answering the comments. It's kind of weird. But
yeah, I wish I could see them. Maybe I can't see them on my phone.
Well, you have to.
On StreamYard, I can see the comments coming in on the Facebook page and YouTube, whereas in the group, I have to see it in the group.
Yeah, and I have to actually open up another panel. But for all of those that you don't know, Zach is now the chicken wing. So ask him why. We've been having fun with that one. Oh, man.
I'm still trying to figure out why it's called the chicken wing. Best I can figure is that little thing's kind of useless and it's getting kind of thin.
And Travis came up with it, which was great. Cool.
Bobby says they're going to have a Mechanic Alliance Firebird grudge match. Him and Kane.
Well, there you go.
That'll be fun.
Sounds
Anyways, let's get down to business. We're talking about charging for your work. How did I put that? I don't know. I can't see it over there anymore. Anyways, we're talking about charging for your work, making the money that you guys need, because ultimately that's what matters. If you're not out there charging and getting the money that you deserve, what's the point?
Exactly.
So take it away, whoever has more information on this subject than I do.
Well, let me first introduce, guys. If you don't know Mike Ramirez, he's on with us tonight, and he's a Nissan Master Tech. It was a Nissan FTM. He's bringing to us some in-depth knowledge and some brand-specific stuff that we don't all have access to, and so I don't want to spoil it, but we're working on some pretty rad training, some stuff you guys have been asking for, and so we're more than excited to have Michael on tonight, and he's worked for a lot of dealerships, right, Mike?
Yeah, I've worked for a few, so we're actually switching it up from Nissan. I'm actually at Honda, attempting to start all over again and bring even more to the table.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie about it. Before, I was kind of like a one-trick pony when it came to a car. If it was a Nissan, it was me. If it wasn't willing to tackle it. But that's kind of where this fits in here. I really think that the best technicians I've ever met work on everything because they learn concepts instead of processes, right? Like they don't follow things step by step. They learn how the whole system works, and their process works on any car. So I'm working more on that. That's where I'd like to be. Those aftermarket technicians, I think, are the real superheroes that work on anything and are able to fix it correctly just because of the amount of knowledge that they're able to pick up and retain.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I worked at a dealer for a long time, and coming from a dealer to working independent, you really learn about what you don't know real fast. And it's trial by fire, and not to knock dealership. I got most of my training there and learned a lot. But you are right. Like when you have so many things to tackle, you have to learn how to think like a German and think like the Japanese and think like the Koreans and think like the Americans. And it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. But to the subject, Michael, so you've seen it done. You've seen techs that work warranty. You've seen techs work in CP. You've seen techs, working all the types. And a question that it keeps coming up, and we wanted to discuss it tonight, but guys so I think some shop owners are still afraid to charge for diagnostic time a lot of the times. And what are the solutions that you've found over the years that help aid in guys either having the confidence to charge for their time or being able to rationalize that to somebody that may come under scrutiny, whether that be a service advisor, customer manager, whoever? Like, what are some keys that you found to be successful for guys as they're trying to get paid for their knowledge and their time?
It's funny that you mentioned that because I think personally as a technician, they usually keep us in the back, right? But when it comes to a situation like that, I'm willing to come out and talk to a customer, and because I feel like the key to getting that time or getting someone to approve that is not us selling time anymore. Because I think that's how we got into this state of the industry where time is not necessarily valued anymore. Money is. So they just want the lowest price as fast as possible, right? And they're not educated enough to know the consequences of that, right? It may not be a proper repair. But whenever I come face to face with the customer, I could tell them what you're paying for without using the word time. Like me performing this test, I can tell you what it's not. That's always my diagnostic method. So I think if you talk to anyone that knows me, they'd always come and ask for help. Like, what do you think this is? And that's just not how I operate. So it's like, what can you rule out first? And just show me what's left, right?
Yeah.
Well, when talking to a customer, that's something that I think is the most important. By doing this check here, I can tell you it's not the harness. By doing this bypass test and the ECM or PGM for Honda, it's reacting. I could see it on the scan tool. I can tell you that control unit's able to read it, right? It's reacting. It's doing what you need to do. So you can take it down the street and they could replace that PCM because that's what it says in the flow chart. But, this is why I would not. And that's what that diagnosis should be. But I think the hard part is getting them to understand that and taking the time to do that, right? So you're almost selling them a guarantee.
Yeah, it does take time and not only to do the repair and do the diagnosis and the testing, but it takes a little bit of time to validate your time. Unfortunately, I'd love to live in a world where we can say, yeah, Aaron says that we got to spend 4 hours here. It's going to cost you this much money. But unfortunately, we just don't live in that world. And sometimes a few minutes of my time to write some notes, communicate with the customer or the service advisor so they are able to give an educated response to the customer is usually time well spent if you're trying to get paid, I think.
Well, and before we started, is one of the things, and it's hard for you, Michael, and it would have been hard for you, Aaron, at a dealership, is because the customers are a mix. But the thing that I see with a lot of these shop owners out there is some of them need to restructure their business. I was telling Michael before the deal, I don't want a customer that knows, and you've heard it before, and I'm talking again, I don't want a customer that knows where the hood latch is. I don't want that customer. Yeah. That's the customer that wasn't happy with the dealership, doesn't want to be there. I want him. In fact, when I opened my diagnostics shop, my slogan was your only alternative to the dealership, is because that's what I want. I want that customer. I don't want the guy that's going to have my brother can do it. Well, then have your brother do it while you're here. I don't even want to start down that road. And so some of these owners need to reevaluate. And I know it's tough. Especially if you're starting out, because you're sitting there and you're hungry and some guy calls with his 92 Ford or whatever, and he wants you to work on it. And you don't want to. You don't, because that's the guy that, especially by the time it pulls up, you look at it, he doesn't have any money. You already started a problem.
Yeah.
You have to pick the elite. Aaron, you were with Porsche, so right away the customers are going to have some bucks, but you do have that customer that wants to look pretty but doesn't want to pay for it too.
So we had a lot of not a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but we didn't get a lot of DIY guys, but we got a lot of enthusiast level guys who were, in their opinion, well informed, but oftentimes misinformed about the characteristics of their vehicle and how it should operate. And they spend time talking to other uninformed people on the internet. And before long, you're arguing with a guy about how his car's supposed to work. And it's like, it's not my job.
Yeah. And I mean, so let's even think about that, right? Let's say the vehicle's running properly, but let's say you're a really good, thorough technician. What does it cost, or what does it take? What should that technician be paid for proving that that's a normal function and the vehicle's operating properly, right? At this case, the customer usually thinks, oh, you didn't do anything. I'm not paying.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's something that we have to find a way to do, because if, last year I didn't feel good. I went to the doctor and he said, I think it's strep throat. Okay. So he did the test and I paid for the test and it wasn't strep throat and I was fine and I paid.
I know what it's not. Here we go again. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you're right. And I think you hit it on the head when you said it's about educating the customers, but the administration for whoever we work for can't be afraid to do that. Yeah. And I get it. Competition's tough. Guy down the street does free diagnose, whatever. I had a customer a couple of weeks ago with an Audi and she had a lot of concerns. She had a lot of things that needed repaired. And all of them were going to take some time to get to the bottom of. And she said, well, if I do the repair, will you do the diagnosis for free? I said, we don't really do that. And she said, well, the guy down the street does that. And I said, does he? Does he do that, or does he punch that onto the back end and just charge you? And I was like, well, I work at a shop that's transparent. I was like, we'll print it out. We'll show you exactly what we're going to do and what we're going to charge you for. We're not going to charge you more. We're not going to charge you less, but you'll know what you're being charged for. I was like, is the guy down the street going to say, if you'll do the work, I'll diagnose it for free and just add $1,000 to the end of the ticket?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what he's doing, right? Rolling it into the R&R possibly.
Right.
I think a lot of this, though, once again, back to like educating the customer, is it free diag or is it a free situation assessment, right? Are we seeing what's going on? Are we seeing what it could be? Because hooking up your scan tool and reading a code to them is not diag, right?
But should we
in the
still be
car
charging for a situation assessment? I think we should.
Yeah.
I think we should still be charging, but a lot of times we're not.
And I mean, I think some of these shops can maybe absorb like that first initial,
Sure.
like, so the technician's not pressed to, well, I'm not making anything, right? Because I think as a shop owner, you want to set that precedent. Like, my technician knows he's going to be compensated, so he's going to go above and beyond. He's going to set the bar, right?
Yeah.
And then anything after that, that's our job to make sure that they're getting paid rightfully to perform the pair or to perform the test at all. But I mean, we got to standardize it at some point too, because if that guy down the street that's doing it for free says this is diag, right? And then he comes to see you at a Porsche dealership or at a different shop and yours is 10 times more thorough, did you get the same thing for the same price? Because I don't think that's the same value, right? But that's the difference between selling time and selling like the value of something, the value of the test,
That's
the
great.
value of having it done properly, right?
Yeah.
Because even things like as small as ADAS calibrations, right? So you do a perfect ADAS calibration, they do it for $89.99 down the street, but they never did an alignment. They didn't check your alignment. So now your car is off. It's tracking sideways, but the laser's shooting straight. It was calibrated. Now it breaks every time the car's next
$89 for sure.
Yeah.
Gosh. But you're absolutely right. Like, the perceived value can be a big problem with customers, because in their mind they got something for free. But did they probably not, right? Did they get charged on the other side?
Yeah, but here's the deal too. If the shop owner decides to give it for free, the tech shouldn't have to eat it. He should still get paid.
Absolutely.
So that's totally up to them. And that's what Troy Anderson just said. Last shop I worked paid the tech the hour and ate the hour. If that's what they want to do up front, then by all means, Mr. Owner and Service Writer, take it to the mat. I don't care, but don't screw me in the back. I'm buying the equipment. I'm buying the tools. I'm getting the training. I got the knowledge. I didn't make that choice.
Right. Right. And the other thing that you said without saying, Marv, is that you got the tools, the training, and the knowledge, and we're faced with a lot of people in our industry who don't have the knowledge, tools, and training, and that's how we got. I think that's how we got here. I mean, I think AutoZone with their stupid free code check maybe set us down this road
with the OBD readers,
And I think that started to really devalue people that want to be diagnosticians and diagnostic techs. I think that started to take the value away from that for them, and it took some of the motivation for the industry to care about.
And why did they do it? The reason they did it is they're selling billions of dollars of parts. I mean, they only care about themselves. They don't care about us. And honestly, I really wish that we'd go to the mat against some of these parts dealers when I pass an AutoZone and somebody's changing his battery and alternator in the driveway. I fought with the city before because they're not zoned for that, and they're getting away with that shit. I know that we're buying more as an industry from auto shops than the consumer anymore on the do-it-yourselfer, because they can get on Rock Auto and everywhere else. They should cater to us, but nobody stands up.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, let's talk about that equipment and the training that you were just mentioning earlier, right? That the customer has to know what that takes, because like, let's say it is a special tool and that special tool knocks 3 hours off of the repair, right? Or let's not talk to them in terms of time. Let's talk to them in terms of money. Let's say it knocks $370 off the repair, right? But they didn't have to buy that special tool, right? So that's worth something too. That efficiency is worth something. You buy something like a rush delivery with FedEx, they pay extra for that.
Yeah.
It has value to it, right?
Yeah.
It's
That's why
like
so
the
many
risk.
people run Amazon Prime. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's got intrinsic value because I could have something. Oh, I need a new computer mouse because mine broke. Oh, I can have that by 7:00 in the morning tomorrow. Pfft, done.
Yeah. You could
Even
tell me that it's going to cost me an extra $20 and I would still say done.
Yeah.
Give it to
Yeah.
me now.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
Well, and we were talking about it in the last lab scope class about your diagnostic efficiency, and because you're efficient, I mean, like you said, we're not selling time, we're selling testing, and I think that's the verbiage guys got to get behind. We spend a lot of time talking about the old hour, the hour diag hour. You got your hour, take your hour, figure it out in an hour. What are you doing in that hour? Because if you're a handy guy, you can check timing and relative compression in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing. Do I deserve to get less because I could do it more efficiently? I think we got to get away from saying hour, and pay for tests. Whether it's relative compression, leak down test, right? Whether I'm using a pulse sensor in cylinder, we should pay for testing. But here's the thing is there has to be a set standard with what the customer will leave with, right? This will rule out this, right? Or this will tell me if this is okay, or this cylinder looks like this cylinder. And that's going to take educating the customer. And some people won't do that, but that's the value of selling it.
Well, I've Marv and I and Eric and all of us talked to a lot of shop owners, and we talked to a lot of techs, and there's a big hole in the market. It's why we've been pushing our training market so much, because there's a lot of guys who want to do it right, but when push comes to shove, do they know how to do all of those things, and are they going to be able to do it in an efficient manner to where they can make some money? And if they can't, like, that's what we're here for you. Like, we'll get you there. We have the platform and the knowledge and the training to where we can build that. And I think as an industry and as a group compiled mostly of technicians, that's something that we need to take some ownership of and say, like, hey, I am going to give you a ton of information from that hour of my time. And we don't have to call it an hour, but we can say, look, if you have a misfire, here's what we're going to do. And you're going to know some facts with that time. And I'm not just going to swap coils. Nothing wrong with swapping coils. I don't want to say swap coils, but like, you're going to know some stuff, and I'm going to sort of set a standard up for what a diagnostic is, and quit doing the AutoZone thing, because they're not getting anything for free. They're getting P0303, right? That's what they got. And they didn't pay anything for that. And sure, yeah, and I'll give you that for free too. You want to swing by, I'll tell you what the P code is. But if you want to know why you have a misfire, I can tell you, and I can back that up with facts because I have the time, the training, the tools. And so as an industry, if we're not able to offer that as technicians in the shops, then yeah, maybe don't charge for it, unfortunately. And I hate to say that, but there's a lot of shops out there that are charging for diagnosis, and they're reading the identification
code off.
That
they're doing less and saying more, right?
And it's just ruining for the rest of us.
Yeah, because especially when you're trying to get people to realize, like, hey, this is worth something. Doing it for free, you have no choice but to devalue whatever it is you're giving away, right? I mean, I know we all want something for free, but what does that tell you about what it's worth? Exactly. If everyone could have it for free, it can't be worth much, right? Yep. So, I mean, I even tell people like technicians that I know that are doing stuff on the side, they're doing this for free. I was like, no, tell them what it's worth, right? Tell them what it's worth. Maybe you guys meet in the middle if you have some other kind of circumstances, but if you just do it for free, right, without letting them know you did it, then I think you're also belittling yourself a little bit there, right?
Yeah, and if a guy's doing things like that, even if his intention is to open his own shop or whatever, you're setting yourself up with a poor precedent.
Yeah,
being the cheapest guy I'm not the cheapest tech in town, I promise, and I never will.
I don't want to be, because of that customer base, like Marv was saying. Those aren't the customers that I want every day to be haggling with. I want the ones that trust me.
Yeah, and they're willing. Hey, you don't have to be doing this side, and that's side work is just another whole tangent that we can spend hours talking about. But when you do things, just like if a shop owner comes to you and says, hey, Michael, I'm going to ask you to do this stuff for free and you're not going to get paid for it. Well, that sucks, right? My time is worth some more, But if you do the same thing to somebody you meet on the street and you say, yeah, I'll do your brake job for $100, your time's worth more than that, fellas. It really is.
Yeah.
Worth way more than that.
And they're going to advertise that for you. And that may not be something you want advertised, right?
No,
but it will get advertised for you.
Word of mouth is fast when you're the cheapest guy in town.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? And that's the thing that I tried to tell businesses for years is, so you do that for $100 trying to build a customer base. And guess what happens when Aaron flags a deal out there? I'm doing it for $90. He's gone. He's not even a loyal customer. You're wasting your time on a piece of crap customer who isn't even worth your time. And he's the one that's going to complain. He's the one that's going to take up 90% of your time. You don't win with them. You just don't win on efficiency. You know, Aaron and I talked one day about certain things that we'll hang on the cross for. And mine is efficiency. I mean, you open a whole bag of worms there with that client. You do. And they're the ones that are always calling every hour. They're the bottom feeders. They're the ones that you just don't want them.
I think there's a lack of respect from those customers, right? I think that's what I need more than anything else. I need them to respect what I'm able to provide as a service.
Yeah.
Right. And
guys,
don't get me wrong.
They're looking for that side job guy because they don't respect a shop or shop owner and the people that work there enough that they think, I'll get Dave in my backyard to do this for me because it's not that big of a deal. And he says it's not a big deal. And he does it really cheap. Well, you're just perpetuating a cycle of losing.
Well, he doesn't have insurance either. He wrecks your car. Now you've got a big problem. I mean, you know, they don't even understand that. I actually have a brother-in-law that does that. I got a guy that works on my vet and he works on my Cadillac and my truck out of his garage. And I just go, man, I sure hope he doesn't rack it up sometime because if he's not insured, which I bet he isn't, you're in big trouble, buddy.
Yeah. And it's the what if, right? I mean, that's the thing that you would pay for. And it's funny because being like a dealer technician, right? 90% of the time, you're going to be okay. So 90% of the time that car's on the lift, you're going to be just fine, right? 90% of the time that we see a common failure in the dealer setting, I can tell you what it is for the lane. But the 10%, right? That's when you have to like cross your T's, dot your I's, because you need to know what to do during that odd 10%. Whether it's the car is not what you thought it was, you need to, you know, that's where we should have done the testing, right? But we strayed away from that. And well, this is normally what it is. Let's just put that part on. Yeah. Well, now you just degraded everything that we just worked for, right?
Well, we
thought it seems redundant.
We fought that for years, and working for Porsche, we would get audited.
Yeah.
If you charged for time and you couldn't validate that time, they'd back flag it. At the end of the year, a dealer would get a bill.
Oh yeah.
Auditors, they would find. I mean, hammers find nails. Auditors find holes in your accounting, whatever that may be. But if there was just something, if you didn't write down specifically what you did for that time that you billed warranty, they're taking it back. And so if you just tried to slide one over and not know what you're doing, or the guy reading it thought, oh, you're making this up, they're billing you. They're going to send you a bill for work that's already been paid for.
Yeah, and it's not just a bill on the one thing you messed up. It's for the whole claim.
Yeah.
Let's say you didn't replace a one-time use part on a hose, but you replaced the transmission. The whole claim is gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If we didn't bill hardware that was supposed to be replaced, like aluminum hardware that was one-time use only. If the parts weren't billed correctly, labor and everything's gone. They're taking it back.
You know where we missed in this industry at the very beginning, and it was just the industry as a whole, is the consumer. We're talking about the consumer now. The consumer sees a value in a part. You can charge them that Joe Blow knuckle dragging grease monkey that throws on $700 worth of part. They seem to be okay with that, even though it didn't fix it. They get pissed and all of that, but they still go back to them the next time. For some reason, I believe they feel that I got a part though. I got something from it, but they don't see and have that same value on our education and what we do. I think there's a big disconnect there with the consumer.
I mean, I think it's an education thing too. You know, I mean, Michael, how many hours of factory training you think you've been to? Just guess.
I don't even know if I could, man.
Hundreds, right? Hundreds.
Yeah, I'd say hundreds. We could go for weeks. months. But it's not just manufacturer training. It's the extracurricular outside training, right? It's me learning from other people. It's me helping other people. Like that's the one thing I don't think they realize, that if they're going into this industry as a technician because, school was too hard or it was too rough, then they're coming to the wrong place, because this is nonstop learning, right? And it's not just learning steps. Yeah, it's about surviving and staying efficient, like you guys said.
Yep, it absolutely is. Did you stop learning? You stop earning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Shameless plug right there. You guys want to know more about being efficient in your diagnostics? Go to the training.mechanicalliance.com site, the one that's ticking along the bottom there. We've got the entire diagnostic strategies, the diagnostic efficiencies. Seriously, guys, there is no better way to start and build a foundation to be efficient and effective in your diagnostics.
Yeah, I can't.
You got to be real with yourself too, fellas. And I was a tech for a long time, a long time, and made a lot of money, guys. Good money, the money people want to make before I really start on diagnostic skills. We've got guys making six figures, crushing it, just turning, burning, earning, making hours.
Oh yeah.
And that goes away at a certain point. You will find that stops. There's no shame in, I know a lot of guys, unfortunately, that are in the prime of their career, and they've just been able to haul through work and make a ton of money and haven't developed those diagnostic skills and efficiencies, and they get a weird electrical problem and just kicks their butt.
And they lose everything that they just gained on that 100-hour week because they spent 30 of them on that one car that drags out for 4 weeks, right?
Yep.
So do you want to be the fastest person that hangs like 100 hours worth of parts every week? Or do you want to learn to be the efficient person that can knock down 60 or 70 every week, but very efficiently, because you don't have those speed bumps that these electrical problems would pose or that these diagnostic problems would pose, right?
Yeah.
I've always been told, like, you don't want to be fast. You want to be smooth. Smooth is steady. Steady is fast, right? Like, that's what you want to go for there, because how long will you be the fastest in the room, right? At what age does that hit? And then you need to make the switch.
You won.
Yeah, well, I think that was me. So you just nailed it. I'm 32, but I think I geared to this a couple years ago because I felt like it's inevitable, but I think I'm doing myself a favor by learning that stuff now, right?
Absolutely.
But I think when people, like when younger techs ask for help and things like that, right? I'm like, man, you're fast. And that's praised all around the dealership. You are so fast, right? But watch them stumble. They don't get up quite as fast, right? That electrical car is there for weeks. Everyone runs from it, right? How long will you be fast? You're almost telling them to look at their career. And like, you'll always get paid for being smart if you work this way.
Yep. And it's hard. It's hard to assess that. And I was the guy that, like, I'm going to make more hours than I'm going to flag all the hours. I average is this, and it's going to stay higher than everybody. Yeah. And then I remember several years ago, we hired a guy who was 5 or 6 years younger than me, and
he's fast now. That's not your crown to wear anymore.
I was just like, man, and a great tech. Guy was awesome, great tech, and I was just like, man, what's going on? And it's my wife said, you're getting up there, Aaron.
Yeah.
A little older. Like,
let's fingers don't work like they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Funny comment that we've got in the comments going on here is that load the parts cannon, fire the parts cannon, and Matt comes back and say, no, the correct application of the parts cannon is ready, fire, aim.
I was looking this up, and I taught this years ago in the classes. I couldn't remember the guy's name. It was Charles Protus Steinmetz, the Wizard of Schenectady. I can't even say it. And some of you have heard this story. This is a true story. This guy was out of Germany, and Ford at the time had his factory going, right? Things were happening. So what happens is he's called in, and I think the story went that the guy had retired, and they brought him back in because he built this generator or whatever and knew everything about it. And they brought him back in and said, hey, will you go ahead and check out what this motor is about and what's happening? And Ford was thrilled until he got the invoice from General Electric in the amount of $10,000. Ford acknowledged Steinmetz's success, but balked at the figure. He said he wanted an itemized bid. So Steinmetz, Scott wrote, responded personally to Ford's request with the following: making the chalk mark on the generator, $1. Knowing where to put the mark, $9,999. That's us.
Yeah.
You want to know where to put the mark? You're going to pay us.
Yeah.
But see, with that, I think comes that obligation to do it right.
Exactly.
And to really be thorough with it, right?
So
And then with that, that's also attached to saying no, even when you're hungry, to those other repairs that are inadequate. Or
and I'm not going to say it's easy. You're absolutely right. It's not easy. But you know what? When you build your business that way, in the end, it's just the only way to go. It pays off. It's one of the best investments you can do is to fire certain customers. It really is.
Yeah. I think customers need to be trained, just like you're saying, just like the employees do.
I mean, if you go to Taco Bell and you try to order a Big Mac, what do they do, right? You would never do that, right? That's a precedent that we don't deal with. You're trained. You know, if you go to Taco Bell, you're going to get diarrhea. Or Taco
Yeah.
It's been a lot of years.
Smooth delivery. I just nailed that one.
Well, that's the thing is you tied Taco Bell, the other end smooth. You're on the same. You're just batting 1,000 there, Aaron.
You know what I'm talking about? Like you go to Academy to buy pots and pans. No, you don't. You know what you're going to get, right? If you go to an auto shop, what do you get?
Yeah.
Some people think they're going to negotiate on price. Some people think they're going to bring their own parts.
Yeah.
Some people think they're going to look up on the internet what something should cost and then discuss that with you. And some places let that fly.
And let's talk about what they're looking up here, right? Are they looking up manufacturer times for R&R? Because if you look at those procedures, like it includes diagnosis on most of those, right? But there's no way. It barely covers the R&R on it if you're talking about like warranty manufacturer times. So, you know, they want you, and let's talk about the primitive test method, check continuity from the ECM to the affected part, right?
Stop using
continuity all the way back.
Don't do it.
Yeah. I poked the bear. It's okay, man. You know, it's just, I honestly think that's something that's lumped in there. It's really not included. It's, when you see someone doing those tests, I highly doubt they're diagnosing it then and there. And if it is, it's a man-made fault. Man-made faults are usually the hardest to diagnose, right? But even so, parts don't break like the same way every time, right? So how are we gonna like put a time on this? Some may be more.
I'll give you one, and it took years actually. It was a shop in Monticello, Utah, and I'd gone out, was doing training, and this was this had to be 10 years ago, 12 years ago. We went over through that car and could not figure it out. We spent days, weeks trying to. It was just an electrical. Just things weren't matching up, and when I say that, I'm the kind of guy that when I see something that's wrong, I want to see 2 to 3 reasons why I'm going to condemn that thing. There's not just the one, that's it. No, I want to see reasons why. It was probably a year and a half later that they called me, and they had found out that right on the top of the car, it had been hit by lightning. So you know what that's going to do to all the electrical components. There's no wonder we couldn't figure it out back then. We didn't have the technology we have today. This was before CAN bus and all of that. But you got those kind of things. We could have replaced every piece in that car, and it would have cost more than the car, and we would have found it. But that's not the right way to do it either.
Sure.
Yeah, that's spray and pray as well.
Yeah.
But I think that's proper protocol for a lightning strike car. I mean,
Lightning cars. Throw them away.
You know, it's like got hit by lightning. Okay, let's strip it and make a race car out of it.
Yeah. How many modules are in there? Do you have insurance?
All of them.
Like,
Yep, it's something that we're honestly all gonna have to work together on this. Not techs, owners, managers, service advisors, service writers. We're all gonna have to push for it, because if we don't, then nothing's gonna change if it's not us. Nobody's gonna change it if it's not the end user, right? And we're the end user of this service, right? We're the guys who do it, and so it's kind of up to us. Unfortunately, I wish there was a magic bullet, a silver bullet from Identifix to fix the problem, but there's just not. I'd load that parts cannon if there was.
Yeah.
But we're diagnosing it right now. We're talking about it. We're getting it out there. People are actively listening. People care, because a lot of us are really invested in this industry, whether we will like it or not. A lot of us are in it all the way, and we have to try to do what we can to make the most out of that. And educating our customers and educating ourselves is probably the answer, unfortunately.
A lot of communication. We're not the job's not being done up front right, and I'm sorry, in the industry, it's not on educating the consumer. As I do the mobile deal out there, it's spending time with the customer, explaining to them, leaving them the printouts that I did from Identifix, All Data, or whatever, and letting them know, helping them understand. It doesn't take a lot of time, but helping them understand what it is that we do. Once they understand what we do, I've had it. I've told Aaron and Michael this before. I've had it where the car was in the diagnostic shop, and I had the old printout from this was before we had color wiring diagrams and all that, and I had 20 or 15 sheets taped together across the back trunk of the car. And I had a lot of attorneys and doctors that came to me, and I remember a couple stories. One, that the attorney had come in and seen that and said, wow, that's what it takes. It helped him understand. The other one I'll never forget, I had the 5-gas in the tailpipe. I had the carbon clean going up front, and the doctor said, yeah, I kind of do that too, but not at the same time. But, those are the consumers you want. You have to educate them. And if the whole problem with our industry, and I'm sorry, is there are some good service writers, but why the hell we hire people that don't even understand what you guys are doing in the back is our biggest problem. And that's because companies have come around and said, well, let's just hire them. Oh, she looks cute. Let's put her up front. Knows nothing about what's going on and doesn't help with this industry one bit.
Well, and they can if they're willing to be, if they're willing to act right. And by that, I would tell you the best service advisor that I ever worked with, ever. And I mean, I've worked with a lot, and this guy was the best. No, I had
that one. Yeah.
He was the best. And he knew nothing about cars. Zero, Marv. You wouldn't believe it. But here's the line.
Willing to learn, though, right?
He would deliver every time, and he would tell the customer, like, my technician and I spoke about your car. This is what he did. This is what he has ascertained from his time. And this is what we need to do. And if they asked any questions that he didn't understand, he would tell them, look, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, my job is you. You're my job. Taking care of you is what I do. I don't do cars. If you need to talk to the guy who does cars, just give me a minute and I'll get him on the phone. But my job is to talk to you and deal with you and make sure you have a good experience with this. So forgive me for not understanding the technical aspects of that, but my focus is you. And I have a guy for that. If you need to talk to them, I'll be happy to get him on the phone. And they never wanted to talk to the tech. Yeah. They wanted transparency and honesty. Yeah. And he didn't spin them a line and say, oh, yeah, the flux capacitor is out of whack and it's at 88.5 instead of 88.9. He just told them, look, that's not what I do. I have the people for that, and this is what they're telling me.
I don't know, but I'll find out is one of the strongest things you can hear from an advisor, right?
Exactly.
You're building a relationship at that point.
His close ratio was like 89%.
Sheesh.
Cool.
And his customer satisfaction was almost 100%. Everybody loved this guy. And the techs were like, that's the tickets. Like, you saw that ticket, that's the one you want. You wanted his ticket because he was easy to deal with.
I love it.
He didn't act like he was. I was a master tech and I blah blah blah. And guy couldn't change a spark plug on a lawnmower, but
yeah, that's the problem.
I think overall, right, no matter what the shop is, whether it's dealer, independent, it's about that communication between the advisor and the technician. But it's a two-way street, right? So that's where technicians, I feel like, need to elevate themselves, right? Don't just look at that person because you're having a bad day and say, this is what it takes to fix it. Slam your stuff closed and walk away. give him what he needs to go to that customer, tell them the steps, like you said, tell them what you found, tell them what it's not, tell them what's next, and where we'll be after this diagnosis or after this test, because you're on the same team, right? They should be incentivized the same way.
And if that's something you have a problem with, then we're going to have a class for that real soon. So stay tuned.
I just like what Troy Anderson said. Man, Troy, you're on the money. They could be replaced by kiosks so easily.
Oh, yeah.
Newer customers would rather text than talk to anyone. And you know what I've learned with the mobile is customers really love talking to the text. Now I know that becomes an issue in a shop because of efficiency and all of that.
Yeah.
But I never lose money, and I still, even driving to a place, I can't count the drive times. We're only a county of 250,000 people, so it takes me 20 minutes to drive across town, 30 maybe. And I still run 112, 117% efficient. So, yeah, kiosks may be the deal. That they can talk to you. It comes right to your box. You're chatting with them. They believe you because, let me tell you, a lot of customers don't dig the service writer because they know they're being sold shit they don't need. I have a father-in-law goes in for an oil change. He's that cheapo guy. I'm going to get, they did it for $29.95, $3,000 bill. He needs airbags for his Lincoln. He needs all of this. And I just laugh and I go, I don't mind it if the stuff is wrong, but I looked at it and checked it. It's the biggest freaking lie there was. So, get rid of it. I think a kiosk is a great idea, Troy.
Yeah. And I would gladly, because half of the battle is the misinterpretation of a service advisor leading me to what he thinks it is.
Yeah.
Right. So he's pre-steering me, but it's not a wheel bearing. It's just tires. But he's already worked this story up for a customer, and that's what it is. It's a wheel bearing. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just
a bad idea to prophesize sales and to prophesize diag. It's a horrible idea. If your techs are prophesying diag or sales, that's bad, right? Don't try to sell the testing time because you don't believe the customer will buy it. That's the wrong answer. But if your service advisors are prophesying diag and talking to the customer about what it most likely is, they just set everybody up for failure. All of you have been set up for failure. Because when it's not that, or when you need time to validate and prove that, the customer's knee-jerk reaction is, well, the guy said that's what it is. What do you need to know? They already said that.
Yeah. And you're almost bound at that point, right? And I don't know any person, like I'm pretty persistent. I'll do it multiple times if it doesn't come out right. I won't give up, right? But I don't think anyone enjoys being set up for failure. That's a completely different ball game there.
Yeah. Yep. But we'll get there. We're doing it. We're doing it right now, boys.
Well, and that's it. We have to keep being up there preaching it and talking it, because we had that discussion on Facebook this week about the free guy down the road and all that again. It's
they're not going to go away. We just have to make what we do so much more valuable that nobody wants to go there.
Absolutely. And I do that. I've had customers before, they never come back. Well, I think somebody else can do it cheaper. Well, I tell you what, please send me the final invoice on everything that you did to get that fixed, and let's chat. They never do. You know damn well that they're paying more because, I think it's this, I think half those guys can't even read a wiring diagram.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't read a wiring diagram. How are you going to do a diagnostics?
Yeah, they don't own multimeters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the other part of validating what we do. If you guys haven't looked at what a picoscope costs, just Google it, right? Just Google it. Just go on Auto Nerds 4425A deluxe kit. Just look, it's $4,000. I'll just tell you, it's $4,000. Save the strokes. Yep. And if you're paying for that as a tech, are you gonna buy a $4,000 tool you don't get paid to use? I'm not.
No,
we're gonna use that. It's a toy. Heck, we're gonna use the crap out of it.
Eric might want it just to play with, but
I'm not gonna buy the $4,000 unit to play with.
Well,
buy the $150 one.
It would be a whole different deal if the owners were paying for all that equipment. Then they can do it for free and paying us hourly. But that's not what's happening.
And some of them are. I've heard it told, and I've also heard a bunch of people who have seen Sasquatch.
Yeah, I do know a couple shops. I believe, and I don't want to misspeak, but I think Schindler Auto is one of them. He's one of our shops, and he does. He supplies. He's second, third generation. Supplies all their tools.
That's awesome.
There was a guy in Pennsylvania Dave and I met with a year and a half ago, was looking for a tech, and he did likewise the same. So they're like Sasquatch, but there are a number of them. You probably put them on two hands, how many there are, but there are, but they're not. And
I mean,
so,
I'd love to see techs not have to have a giant tool liability every week. That's awesome.
and see, like that newspaper, that movie, that TV article from the news channel that only went and talked to the owners again, never talks to the tech. There again lies in the deal. Well, they said in their report, so the average technician makes $49,000. So everybody's at home thinking, oh, Aaron, geez, he makes pretty good money. They never once mentioned about the $120,000 worth of tools and equipment you have. Who has to buy? Nobody's answered me yet. I'm here right now. You tell me somewheres where a guy has to spend the average of $45,000 for tools to get himself a job. There isn't one out there. It's us. And it's just not right. It's not. Because I guarantee you, Snap-on raises their prices every year. I was with them. Mac and Matco raise it every year. They don't care if there's a recession. They don't care if there's a depression. It's going up. You're paying more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just nature of the beast.
Devin says even the $150 two-channel Pico is a powerful tool for automotive work.
Yeah, they're real great.
It is, unless it's in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true. Hey, you put them in my hands, I'm going to be like, okay, this is fun. Now what do I do with it?
Yep. Or look at these squigglies. What does it mean, right? Because what's the difference between the doctor interpreting it?
Whether you bought $500 worth of stuff at Harbor Freight, that's an investment that you made. You need to be paid for it.
Yeah.
Don't give it away. And once you guys get good and once you really hone those skills, you've got the scan tools you need, the tools, whatever, scopes, meters, flukes, whatever you like to use or whatever you're efficient at. You're delivering more value for your time with those tools. We were talking about RC the other day and how long it takes to do a conventional gauge compression test on a car. And if you can even do it, a lot of cars have to have the plenum off or whatnot. And you're giving them a ton of information for your time. You should be paid appropriately for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big changes coming. And, I know we got to close down here because we all have some of us have some other things we got to cover. But Aaron, finishing thoughts?
Go to training.
Yeah.
Training.mechanicalliance.com. Start
really. If you're not happy with where you're at, guys, no matter what, there's things that you can change and there's things that you can't. One of the things you can is you can get better at your job of whatever level you're at, boys, girls, whoever. If you want to be at a place that you're not right now, the one thing that you can take control of is your knowledge and your training. There's more free training now in 2022 than there ever has been in the world. There's more awesome stuff you can learn without paying a dime. And if you need more, we're here for you. And we're the best. Just a plug, we're the best value in town. So if you're not happy with where your career's at, make yourself better. Find the shop, be hired at the shop that is better than that. Do what you need to do for yourself to do that, because nobody's else can do it for you.
Well, and and I can attest to this too, because like I said early on, the resumes we're doing and all that, the resumes and what we're seeing and what's being written on that. And I got to tell you, every one of the guys out there, I talked to one today and he's Euro, and right on there, we're able to put diagnostics. He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid. He's Euro first off. Some of us don't want to do Euro. I'm one of them. And he's diagnostics. I mean, he is going to be that guy. And so let's get you there.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Well, cool.
Michael, any thoughts on your side?
I think I'm just with Aaron, man. If you're not happy with where you are, if you're not happy with the way you're treated, let's focus on the things that are in your control, right? Elevate yourself, progress. Like, that's what you should be chasing. Like, your image, your perception, give them a reason to do that, right? We know we provide them every day, but even more like just piles up on my side. I'm not going to let anyone's thoughts change the way I work. Right? My work is consistent across the board. I'm always looking to get better, no matter what people say, no matter how I'm treated. That's the standard for me.
There you go.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it's been great. Sasquatch got brought up a couple of times. I noticed it's getting dark enough in the background of Michael. I think I saw Sasquatch back there.
It is. It's getting even worse right now.
Is he running around these days? I haven't seen him.
It was daylight when I started this. Sorry, guys.
I think I saw him
Oh,
before.
you're
He went
fine.
over to Charlotte. It's been some time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's you're 2 hours ahead. It's closing
yeah.
on 10 o'clock there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's dinner time.
9 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever clock.
9 o'clock.
That o'clock.
Well, appreciate y'all. I mean, I really do. I love what's happening, and we keep stirring them up out there, and that's what it's about.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for watching, guys. We will catch you next time.
Take care.